episode of Dishcraft. This is my Valentine's Day special video. As you can see, I already have the steak going. We're going to make a full meal today, so bear with me. Everything is going to have beer in it. I'm using 3 different types of beers. We're going to do a potato, we're going to do a steak, and we're going to do a beer butter, and Brussels sprouts, okay? So the beers that we are going to use today, let's talk about them really fast. In our mashed potato is going to be a stout from Bear Brewing. It's a really great creamy stout, so I love to put that in. I love a creamy stout in things like potatoes and anything with cheese, to be honest with you. We're also going to be using Bear Brewing has a cherry beer that's a sour and then it's a sour brown, and then it's been aged in oak barrels. And so I reduced that down. That's what we're going to use to make our beer butter. And then finally, we're going to finish off with Crooked Stave. We're going to use their St. Bretta. This is a nice citrusy sour that I'm going to throw in with the Brussels sprouts. So, as you can see, I already have the steak going. I greased the pan a little bit, salted and peppered both sides, let the steak come to temperature, patted it nice and dry. Any moisture that you let sit on your steak is going to not get that brown crust, and we want a brown crust. I am not going to put this in the oven because I like a nice medium to medium rare steak, I like a nice medium rare steak. I don't like it to be too done. And since this steak is not very thick, it's not going to have to cook for very long. So we're going to do it all in the pan. I greased the pan just a little bit with some coconut oil. Now, as you can see, I do have my friend, my brand new mixer, okay? I'm going to use this guy to do the beer butter. So, beer butter first while that steak is cooking up. Remember, not going to touch it too much. Just kind of put it on there. Salt, pepper, nice crust of salt. Don't be afraid to salt your steak. And we're going to put in half a stick of unsalted butter. We're going to throw in that reduced. This was a half a cup, and I reduced it down so it's more of a syrup. And you know what? I'm going to actually pour that in. And then I'm going to do some salt. And everything you're going to notice is going to be very small portion sizes because I'm cooking this for 2, right? We don't want to do big portion sizes just for the 2 of us. And then I'm going to throw in some thyme. Thyme is one of my favorite herbs. I went back and forth on this recipe, and I was like, thyme or chocolate, thyme or chocolate. And you know, I think the chocolate, you could do a chocolate beer butter for sure, and that would be super, super yummy and tasty. But for my purposes, I wanted to keep it a little simpler, and I didn't want you guys to feel like it was something that was super hard to achieve, okay? So just like 4, 5, 6 sprigs of thyme in there, depending on how much you like thyme. You want a lot, put more in, go ahead. And then all we're going to do, once we get that thyme in there, I'm trying to choose ones that I don't have to pick the stems off of too much. And I do have my whipping blade in here, okay? This blade is just, the whole purpose of it is just to whip up things like butter. I'm going to be using it to make my Girl Scout cookies. Don't forget I have that event coming up at the Rayback. Now we're going to go ahead and lock this bad boy up. I'm going to start it on a slower speed. Let it start to mix. And then we're just going to dump in this beer. I'm going to have to scrape down the sides. This might have been just a little bit too big for my purposes, but that's okay. I'm not using as much food as I normally do in here. And I do have a smaller attachment. I just haven't used this a whole ton yet. So I know you all saw me add in the salt in there, and I did not put pepper. That is just because for personal choices. There we go. All right. Now, I'm going to take my beer butter. Now, let me tell you a secret. I'm going to mix it a little bit with my hand tool here, too. Let me tell you a secret about whenever you go to a steakhouse. they always serve your steak with a dollop of butter on top. It's not just plain butter. You could use just plain butter, that's for sure. All right, let's go ahead and flip over our steak. Oh, beautifully crusty. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, I'm only cooking one steak for my husband and I. If you wanted to do 2 separate steaks, you certainly could. Just depends on what your needs are. I'm getting that, oh yeah. So yeah, when you go into steakhouses, they always serve you this yummy, delicious, where are my locks? There we go. They always serve you this yummy, delicious steak with a dollop of butter on it. So typically what's in a steakhouse beer, or a steakhouse butter, is white wine. I figured using a sour beer that has been aged in oak barrels with cherries is going to be such a good complement to that. And I'm going to just transfer this into a different bowl. Make sure I like how much it's mixed. Yes. This smells fantastic, this beer butter, guys. And then what you're going to want to do with this is put it in the fridge, let it get a little bit solid so that when you throw it on your steak, it doesn't melt entirely right away. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to sneak this in the fridge real fast. Make sure you guys still have a good view of me. There we go. Okay, now you'll notice this steak is pretty much almost done. Like, I don't want mine cooked much more than that. And I have this screaming hot to get that nice brown crust on there. The next thing we're going to make is, you know what we're going to do? We're going to start the mashed potato sauce. I'm calling it a sauce because I don't know if a lot of people realize this, but whenever you cook mashed potatoes, you should always heat up your ingredients that are going into your mashed potatoes. So I'm going to put the stout in this back pan, which I have already a little warm. And then I'm going to put some butter in there. And that'll also help cook off some of the alcohol in the stout because we don't need it to be alcoholic. We're not trying to make this baked potato or mashed potatoes that get you drunk. And then I'm also going to put in some half and half. Now, if you wanted to, you could still use just regular milk or something along those lines. Completely up to you, okay? You can even use heavy cream. I just really wanted to get a nice flavor in here. And while that is starting to cook down, I'm going to get my spoon ready. Well, this is cooking down. And that's just making the sauce that we're going to mix in our mashed potatoes. I'm going to check this steak. Oh, perfect. Okay. Now I'm going to turn off the right pan. The steak friend is going to get picked up and moved over here. I'm going to let it sit in the pan for another minute or two, and then we're going to transfer it to a board, okay? And then I'm going to move this guy over, reduce the heat. Oh, I did turn it off. And we're going to get those Brussels sprouts started, okay? Brussels sprouts are my favorite. These are so simple too. This is my favorite way to eat Brussels sprouts. This is just coconut oil. That's all that is. Probably about a tablespoon. Drop that in the pan. We're going to let that get all melted down. Uh-oh. Didn't realize I used all my wood cutting boards. We'll have to use one of these guys. That's okay. The steak is going to go on this and set to cool, okay? So we're just going to take the steak off the heat. Set that guy aside. Now remember, it's really important to let your steak cool down before you cut into it, okay? Or you're going to lose all your juices. So it's going to cool for like 5-10 minutes. You can tent it if you like. So this is all melted down. The next thing that goes in here is going to be our Brussels sprouts. I just sliced them up, as you can see. And then a little salt and a little pepper. Make sure we're stirring up that stuff to make those mashed potatoes. Little salt, little pepper. Remember, don't be afraid to use your salt. I am out of pepper in my pepper grinder, so what I did was I took my mortar and my pestle and I ground it up by hand. It's actually quite fun to grind pepper up, guys. And we're going to just sprinkle this with a little bit of fresh ground pepper. Whenever I run out of pepper in my, because I always buy it at Costco. Whenever that runs out, I just fresh grind it like that, leave it sit out, whatever I don't use. Awesome. Now, this, we don't want the heat too high. We're just going to let it hang out here for a second. We're letting this get warm. Remember, the goal of this isn't really for it to like come to a boil or anything. I mean, if it simmers a little, that's okay. The goal of this is just to melt it down, get it warm, so that when you put it in your mashed potatoes, you don't cool down your mashed potatoes as soon as you make them, okay? So this is going to be going in that in a second. Let's do the mashed potatoes. If you guys do not have or currently use a potato ricer, get one immediately. It is awesome. I really want to get one of the ones that sits in the bowl. I don't have one of those, but this works just as well. And the cool thing is I did take the skins off of my potatoes, but you don't need to do that. You could leave the skins on and it'll just separate itself out, which is awesome. I also did some fresh roasted garlic. We're going to do stout with garlic, and what's cool about this then is your garlic is just going to pop out like that. I just took the skin off. So how you make fresh roasted garlic is you throw it in the oven at about 450, 15 to 20 minutes. Peel the skins off. I did a little olive oil, a little bit of salt on this. And now you have some yummy, delicious, fresh roasted garlic. Guys, are you watching how easy this is? This is not taking me time at all. We're going to be done with this video before you know it. And then your girlfriend and or wife or girls, if you're going to do it for your husbands or boyfriends, will be super impressed that you made a whole meal in like 20 minutes. So skins are off. We take our potatoes, which I already have cooked because we didn't want to wait for them to boil. That would take, oh perfect. This is just at a low simmer. That is fantastically perfect. Nice low simmer. Give these Brussels sprouts, oh yeah, that's perfect. I like them to be a little bit brown. That's actually, I like the little crunchiness on them. That's up to you again. If you don't want them brown, turn down your heat a little bit, okay? And all we do now is we take a couple, and I just did four red potatoes. I like red potatoes over other types. I'm going to take these potatoes, let all the moisture come off. We drop them in here. Make it as full as you can. And push it through. Your potato ricer, just like, oh man, maybe I made it too full. Ugh, there we go. Right through, just like that. Okay? And then you do it with the next ones. I also throw in my roasted garlic right in there in my potato ricer. The garlic will come just right out on the other side. You don't have to do anything fancy, no cutting, nothing. All you did was peel some skins off of some garlic, guys. It's awesome. Perfect. Good, and this is just at like a nice slow simmer. I'm going to turn that down a little because I do not want it to burn or overcook. And you know what? These Brussels sprouts are just about ready for the beer. Perfect. Okay. Put another piece of this roasted garlic in. And you can do, again, I'm making this for two, so I didn't want to overdo any of this, okay? I didn't want to make a huge, huge serving because it's two people. Push that through. I can see the garlic coming out. I know you guys can't see that, but I can. And I'm going to do one more. Probably won't even use all these mashed potatoes in here, or all these potatoes. Just do one more. That's probably good. You can save those to make breakfast potatoes if you like. I do that all the time. Garlic. Yes. Scrape this off. Okay. I like to keep using that same spoon as well. Alright, so we're going to let the potatoes relax for just a second so that we can finish up these Brussels sprouts that smell amazing. All we're going to do, oh, what did I do with my opener? All we're going to do is open up our beer. Ah, nice citrusy flavor in there. We're going to pour a little bit on. We're just going to let that all cook off, okay? Now here's the thing. When you make Brussels sprouts, a lot of people think they're bitter. If you throw some fat in them and then also some citrus like I just did, you're going to get rid of a lot of that bitterness. Remember, this is just their plain old St. Breda. Nothing too fancy about it. It's just got some good citrus flavors in it. Now for the mashed potatoes, final step, we're going to take that warmed up stout liquid. We're going to pour a little bit in. And we're going to stir. Oh, you know what we're going to add to that also? Salt and pepper. Oh, these smell amazing, guys. Now, I will not lie to you. They're going to be an interesting color. But that's okay. They're also going to be an interesting flavor. Okay, I'm going to take a little taste of these mashed potatoes. See what I think. Oh, wow. A little bit more. Just a touch. A little more salt. A little more pepper. Season in layers. Give it another mix. You get a clean spoon, taste again. All of this is done, so that's perfect. You turn off all the heat. I'm going to plate this all up for you guys so you can get one little last look at it. Clean spoon, taste again. Oh, So let's take a plate. We're going to take one of these big fat daddies right here. We're going to go scoop of mashed potatoes. Right here's my tongs. Oh, there they are. Steak. Scoop of Brussels sprouts right here on the side. And let's not forget what makes the steak the best part now. We're going to get our beer butter back out. And finishing touch right there, scoop of beer butter. Take a look at that. Fantastic. Thank you all so much for joining me. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Don't forget, I'm going to post another episode right after this one that shows you how to make your dessert with beer in it. Thanks so much. See y'all later.